Here. Great. So tonight we have Dan Lipka from the Three Trackers of Ohio to talk to us about the adapted skiing program that they have and possibly some other programs. I don't know if you're going to get into that. Dan, I'll just kind of let you take it from there.
All right. I went ahead and put together a little PowerPoint with some videos. So, is there something I need to do other on my end other than start the PowerPoint?
You should have the share ability. So at the bottom, you should see like a green up arrow that says share.
Uh, Not seeing that. Let's see.
Mine is like right in the middle of all of my options at the
I don't
bottom.
know what's wrong with my camera.
Audio, video, participant chat. More.
Yeah, more.
It
Share.
may be under more.
Yeah, there it is. Share. And you guys tell me if you see it, because
Not yet.
is that showing up?
Not yet. You may have to like select the screen and then hit share again if a little window popped up.
I have a screen with a line through it.
Meaning there's no video.
I don't know what my
Take
camera.
that line off there.
What are you
That's
mad?
cool.
Yeah, and that's not coming off. I guess we should have practiced this beforehand, right? Let me try something else one more time. More.
I'm about to be mad. It's so crappy.
And share is showing up here. Let's see if that's.
Go.
Looks like.
There you go.
That's
Hey,
there we go.
got it.
All right. Let's see if the big screen shows up. Now, do you have a full screen of Three Trackers of Ohio?
We see the presenter view.
You know what? I think we'll just go from here because
I'll be back.
Okay, Greg.
you're screen sharing, it says. Okay. This meeting has been recorded. Okay. So actually we have three people here from Three Trackers. We have myself, we have Scooter, and we have Michelle. Michelle is a longtime participant and Scooter is a relatively new one.
Yeah.
And I took the liberty of taking a few videos of Scooter and Michelle. So we're going to use those as kind of a give you a better orientation. I had given some thought about trying to do a live session right from the slopes, but I'm sure glad I didn't, given how cold it is tonight.
Yeah.
And the video feed probably would have been a little limited. So what I want to do is just kind of start with a little quick video that we did a year or two ago to give you kind of an overview. You'll see a variety of different pieces of equipment here.
You didn't put me in here, did you, Dan, with me crashing?
What? Oh. That looks like something I'd tip right over on. Oh.
Dan, does everybody going down the slopes, even if they're being tethered, have the ability to control their direction?
Yeah, absolutely. These are kind of a wide selection, but there were a couple in there that were not tethered. We have a number of folks that do get tethered just for safety purposes or because
Sure.
of their ability level.
Sure.
Does tethered mean you're attached to the thing that's sliding down?
Yeah. That happens to be a bi ski, and that kiddo is pretty involved. So these are not just people with spinal cord injuries. We service a wide range of folks.
Are you at Brandywine or at Boston
Turn
Mills?
that volume down a little bit. There we go. How's that? Better?
Are you at Brandywine or Boston Mills?
This is at Brandywine. We have occasionally done some things over at Boston Mills, but their facilities are not quite as accessible. Brandywine built a new lodge probably about 7 or 8 years ago that's very accessible, very convenient, and just a much better facility for what we're doing. So originally, believe it or not, Three Trackers was one of the first adapted skiing programs in the country. You wouldn't realize that from being in the mountainous area of Ohio. But back in 1962, there was an article in the Plain Dealer. That is the earliest account that I found. And it shows Paul Limecooler, who owns a orthotic and prosthetic company. His
Sure,
sons now own it.
sure.
And Stan Zakas. And they were both World War II veterans. They each lost a leg in World War II. One, if you notice, is a right, the other is a left. And when they went to a ski shop, they bought a pair of skis.
There we
Why
go.
not?
Bert
Right.
Fischer was a Hungarian Olympian, came to the United States during the Hungarian Revolution after a Olympic event, I think in Japan, and his family said, "Don't come home." He settled in Cleveland, and somehow, I don't know the specifics, met Paul and Stan, and they said, "Hey, let's go skiing." You notice that each of those two skiers have handheld crutch type things. Those are called outriggers. And that was invented by Paul. He never copyrighted it or trademarked it so that they could be readily manufactured by anybody.
Mm.
They're still used today. They've come a few generations, but when the skier with an amputation was on the slopes with outriggers, they made 3 tracks in the snow. So there's the name. Bert was quite a character. Very, very outgoing. At one point, he had a TV show on WAKR on Friday nights. And they showed various methods of skiing.
Cool.
Their first official formal clinic where they brought a variety of people together was in 1966, and that was done at Brandywine Ski Area. And so it goes back quite a ways. Now, you may hear from other bigger resorts and bigger programs in the Rocky Mountains that they were the beginning folks, and they were probably the first to incorporate. But I think when it comes to the actual time and inception,
I want to do that.
Bert, Paul, and Stan had it together.
Do you know if they ever transferred any of those to YouTube?
There's actually a movie that was done on Paul, kind of a documentary his granddaughter did. There are literally dozens and dozens and dozens of YouTube videos now on adapted skiing. And I shared a few of them for Scooter when he came out, just to give him a little bit of a orientation.
Yeah.
So I just quickly identify there are a couple of different disciplines or a couple of different methodologies involved. Again, it started with standing and 3 tracking and 4 tracking. So the guy right here in the center, I don't know, is my arrow showing up?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, is a 4 tracker. He has 2 prosthetics and he's got outriggers. Actually, no, he's using poles. So he wouldn't be a 4 tracker, but if he was using outriggers, like this woman here, that would be 4 tracking in the snow. And then, of course, standing could involve somebody with a visual impairment as well. I got involved with 3 trackers over 30 years ago and it was primarily for a newer discipline at that time, which was sitting down. And the two different kinds of sit skis that are now available are bi-skis, which use two skis underneath, like this one here, and a mono ski, like this one. These happen to be both veterans. They're skiing out in Snowmass, Colorado. The VA offers a annual event for veterans, and they have over 300 participants come. The vast majority of those guys are either spinal cord injury, head injury, or amputees.
Do you ski with the VA then as well?
Oh. Say again?
Do you ski with the VA then as well?
I did about 20 years, but I'm getting a little on in years. And for me to do a 200-pound guy on a big mountain all day long, 7 days, a little more than I can do anymore. But yeah, met some absolutely fabulous people.
That's Tony Zacharewski, isn't it?
Tony's been there a couple of times with the VA.
Yeah.
He's actively involved. He doesn't always get a chance to go.
Right.
They do send folks along to participate.
Yeah.
And there's about 200 to 250 volunteers that come out every year as well. So let me give you a little example of what it's like to be on the slopes. And I'm using Scooter as an example. Over here on the left is a picture of a magic carpet or a people mover, just like you'd see in an airport. And that's one of the ways to get up a hill. This happens to be a very basic beginner slope. And we'll see Scooter with another skier. This was his first day on the slope. We started off in a flat area, not much to show there. Practice moving around, and once Scooter felt comfortable, we went up the slopes. Okay, once you get up to the top, you just kind of scoot right off. Oops.
I was gonna say, is that the time I actually made it off, or is that the time I fell? Right?
I purposely put that in there because Scooter was on a mono ski.
Oh yeah.
And mono skiers take a little practice to get really good.
Ooh.
And there's a fair amount of falling involved.
Yep.
But fortunately, that fall was a pretty easy one, and he got picked up pretty quick.
It's like riding a bike.
It is
Yep.
very much like riding a bike, where you need to stay perfectly balanced over the center. It does take a fair amount of core strength, and Scooter has that ability.
I've seen Scooter's balance though.
Yeah. There are folks that have lower injuries that can be a little bit more radical, but he's doing pretty well. So this is, again, first little trip down the hill.
It's awesome.
And you can see it's very gentle, and he's trying to stay centered. Needs a little time, right?
All
All right. And then we'll move on to another one. This is a little later, or is that the next day? Scooter, this might be the next day. Oh, I got sound turned up. Let me see if I can change that. All right, sorry.
Oh yeah,
This is definitely the next day.
yeah.
That's the chairlift.
So this is now on the chairlift. After you've graduated from the surface lift on the beginner hill, then we move up to a little bit more advanced slope and we get on a chairlift. So you're probably wondering how in the heck that contraption gets on a chair. Well, this is how it gets. Oh, maybe I do it this way. There we go. So the chairlift comes around. Got two people on either side, a little push, a little pull, and in you go. So Scooter's very wise here. He's put his outrigger up top, or is holding his arm up there to keep in. There is a retention strap that's fastened around the back of the chair to make sure he doesn't come out. And we need to use that on this particular chair because it doesn't have a safety bar, which isn't that unusual at Boston Mills Branding Range. And then here we are at the top, and notice the difference. Look at him come off the slope. Really nice. Okay. Let's see here. There we go. So I want to show you a couple of other folks a little bit more advanced. I didn't get a chance to get a video of Scooter this last Sunday. He was kicking butt, going top to bottom on a intermediate run. So this is Michelle, and Michelle's going to demonstrate one of the techniques that we use that involves, yeah, I got the noisy snow guns in there. Let's see. There we go. A technique that we will also employ, and that is a tether line. And that is more of a safety, just in case it gets a little steep or somebody gets in the way. We can help support the skier and give them a quick stop. But you notice Michelle is not relying on that tether line at all. It's slack. Michelle, you've been skiing how many years?
A long stinking time.
I'm going to say at least 25 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
25, 30 years. Yeah, a long time.
Yeah. I've got an old picture of you from a newspaper. I'll have to share it with you.
Oh, goodness.
This last one that I'm going to show you is Jackson. Jackson has, I think, about a T8 injury. So he's got a little bit more trunk, a little bit more core. This is his second year. And this is him on that intermediate slope that I mentioned.
Wow. He's good. Get that.
Man, I'm going to have to work on getting that rid of there. But you can see that he's making turns, and that is how he controls his speed. The more turns he makes, the slower he gets. This happened to be on a night where they're making all kinds of snow, and artificial snow tends to be a little slower than man-made stuff.
Nice.
But this is a gentle slope, and he's just kind of gently showing. You notice he's using his outriggers to make a turn. He's sticking his outrigger out to the side. We call that opening the door. And it brings the ski around. And that is at a point right now where Scooter is. He's now starting to make turns and opening the door and getting a feel for that movement underneath him.
Did you make these videos?
I did, yeah.
That's a nice one.
That is a pretty good one, yeah.
Yeah.
I could do better. I could have showed you some commercially available ones, but I wanted to show you some of our folks.
Yeah.
So with that, I did miss one other slide that was over here that showed some of our other activities, but it is winter, so that's where our focus is. In the summer, we do have a water ski event. That is done on the first weekend in August, and it is as popular as water skiing. People are lining up to get to that or as popular as snow skiing. Because it's a ball of fun. There's a private water ski group, a club that's over in North Ridgeville, and they have some really nice towboats, and they love to have us out for the weekend. So we ski a Friday and Saturday. Beautiful facility with a picnic ground and a nice pavilion and actually a sandy beach. So in addition to that, we've added some hand cycles. We've got probably about a dozen hand cycles now in a variety of different types. We've done some rides on the towpath trail, and we've also done some kayaking, and we've probably got about a dozen kayaks. We had a really nice opportunity just this summer where we had an adaptive program that does a summer camp related to muscular dystrophy. It wasn't MDA association. It was related to that. I'm forgetting the name of it. But it's a Rotary camp, YMCA camp over on Portage Lakes.
Rex Lake.
Rex Lake. Yeah. Yep.
Rex Lake.
Yep. So you will find a little bit more information on our website, 3trackers.org. You're welcome to shoot me an email if you had any other questions after we're done. That's my address, dlipka@3trackers.org. We also have a general mailbox, 3trackersadaptive@gmail.com. at some point we need to get that to be a 3trackers.org one. Just haven't made that connection yet. And of course, we're on Facebook just like everybody else.
For me to find 3trackers was huge. I just basically got into skiing like 2 years ago and kind of got good at it last year. And for me, skiing as a winter sport was kind of like I got injured motorcycling. So I really I rode my motorcycle all the time. Getting into the turns was a lot of fun on my motorcycles. Most motorcycles will tell you. And skiing to me was like my winter fun. It kind of was very similar as getting into the turns of motorcycling as getting into turns of skiing and being able to catch that edge and really get into that lean of that turn and get into it. And so right after I got injured, I was pretty upset and devastated that I may not be able to ski again. And then I don't know how I found into sit skis and started finding videos about that. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. And then I don't know, I stumbled upon 3trackers somehow, like middle of summer. And I was like, this is right here in Northeast Ohio. Like, this is pretty unbelievable that this right here. It's been really huge for me to be able to get out there in the wintertime and be able to do this again. I mean, it was, and my family, my kids ski, so I can get back out there in the slopes with them now. And it's pretty awesome. And all the volunteers at 3trackers are just so nice and like I can't say enough good things about the program. It's just the people are awesome and just the ability to do this all. It's really great.
I agree.
So
What
I
else is there
will,
to
I
do
will
in the
say that
wintertime?
our volunteers do make our program amazing. These are all volunteers. There is not a single paid staff member. And their primary thing that holds us all together is a love for skiing. So we've got people with medical backgrounds. I happen to be a retired OT. We've got a couple of PTs. We've occasionally had a physician come out that skis. We've had a nurse or two here and there, but we've also had bus drivers and engineers and all kinds of folks. One of our guys works in the concrete industry, so it's a great mix of people, and it is certainly a lot of fun. I will mention that Donna actually was asked the question. We ski at Brandywine, not a terribly big hill, but it's really set up well for us because of the different grades of the hills. We ski on Sundays. We do a morning and afternoon session. Lately, we've had 8 or 9 out for each session, so that's pretty good numbers, although this last Sunday was a little thinner. The cold weather was making people shy away. We also ski Tuesday night, but not this Tuesday because it's going to be way too cold for us to be out there.
Yeah.
There is a nominal fee when you are talking about skiing. $40 is a nominal fee. That's to pay for the lift ticket. Everybody that skis pays for a lift ticket. That's a requirement of the area. We do get a discounted rate. Crazy enough, to do a day skiing in Ohio now is about $70. It's an expensive sport. All of our equipment that we make available, there's no cost for it. We always do a assessment of some sort in the lodge, get familiar with the person's interests, needs, what their goals are, whether they're interested in being more independent or whether they would just want to enjoy the outdoors and have fun. That will make a big difference between whether or not we might try a mono ski versus a bi-ski. You saw a lot of people on bi-skis. You can do a bi-ski the first day on that slope. Because you can because it has good stability, and there's also little outriggers that are attached to the ski that keep it from tipping over. Those are optional. They can be removed as well, and so it could rely on some of your own core balance and strength. But if you don't have it, the outriggers allow that person to still ski and enjoy it. And when you're doing a fixed outrigger bi-ski, there will always be an instructor with you tethering and a buddy helping out to get on and off the lift.
Are the bi skis recommended for those with less core?
Yes. We've had some folks that have cervical level spinal cord injuries that were able to do monoski,
Mhm.
but it took a long time, and I think their injury was not complete. I think that was more partial. There is one guy that is just started that has a C8 injury. He was in Breckenridge last year and decided, hey, I'm going to try this back home. And he is doing a bi-ski without outriggers. I'm sorry, without fixed outriggers that's low to the ground. He's doing handhelds. He's got enough grip to hold them. And the first time out, the instructor with him, Jason, tethered him, but halfway through the lesson, he said, I'm not using my tether at all, dude. You're doing this. So again, different abilities, different adaptive techniques.
Dan, with your background, you've seen all kinds of disabilities and are able to assess pretty much probably even before they get on the snow.
I got to see people. I got to talk to them. I got to know what their interest level is, you know?
Of course, you got to see them. But
Yeah. Yeah. And Don, I like to think of it as different abilities, not disabilities.
I have to write that one down.
Yeah. You know it. You know it well.
You took me out years ago, and I was in something I thought called a sit sled.
Yes. Yeah.
And we-
I don't
and
have a
we-
picture of that anymore. I
was
wish
like a
I
bull-
did. I'm going
it
to have
was
to
like
go
a-
look for one.
It was like a bullet.
It was. That was the very first sit ski. It was more toboggan than it was ski.
Right.
There was no suspension.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Yeah. It was not a fun ride.
Boom, boom, boom.
It had a tendency to barrel roll.
Oh
or,
my
or
God.
when you got off the lift, the nose went down
Yep.
and you could tip that way.
Yeah. Well, I was a rookie then too, Don.
Funny.
So,
It was
you
fun.
learn.
It
We
was-
do
it
have
was-
we do have a museum piece of it. I should pull it out and try it sometime. It was not a safe piece of equipment. But that was my introduction to sit skiing.
Got it.
There was another one that we had that John Williams used to ski in that was a big round thing with a leaf spring and a single ski underneath it. That thing weighed a ton.
Sounds
And that one
dangerous.
looked like a bullet too. That was more like a bobsled, not a toboggan. Yep. Any other questions? So my clock says Buckeyes are about ready to kick off. So I don't
10
want to
minutes.
I don't want to keep you any longer. I know Michelle is a huge fan.
I will mention, if you have Netflix and are interested in seeing some very advanced adapted snow skiing, there is a documentary called Full Circle
Yes.
that follows an adaptive athlete that does adapted skiing in Colorado.
I think I watched that.
It was
That's-
pretty
yeah, that's Trevor.
awesome. I thought a well done documentary that shows like true disability adaptive sports. So if you're interested and you have Netflix, it's called Full Circle.
No, yeah, I think I watched that. I think it was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Trevor's a little different kind of a guy. One of the things I will freely admit is that in the adaptive program world, there's a tendency when there's a really good monoskier, and it's only monoskiers that ski competitively. Bi-skiers do not ski competitively, but there's a tendency to push those guys into, or girls and guys, into racing. Trevor never really wanted to race. He always liked terrain parks. No kidding. He, not to be a spoiler, but I think he was the first guy to do a full 360 off a jump.
Yeah, I know. It was crazy.
Very crazy.
Oh my
But
God.
man, he's doing what he loves to do.
Yep.
So good for him. Thanks for mentioning that, Megan. That's a great Netflix thing to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for presenting and telling us about the 3 Trackers programs. If there's no more questions, I am going to stop recording, but I'll give everybody a second just in case.
Thank you, Dan.
Do I need to do anything on my end to